Hi, welcome to the Peaceful Home. Have you ever struggled with organizing your memorabilia? All of your keepsake items, the ticket stubs, invitations, photos, all the things that remind you of significant events and people in your life. It is one of the hardest things to manage in the home. And today I'm going to take you behind the scenes to a client's home where I helped her get started on decluttering years of memorabilia. Now, Carol started out as a client, but quickly became a friend. And she and her husband, Paul, are just amazing. Their lives inspire me. They have been involved in various ministries throughout their marriage and are just doing amazing work in the kingdom. While Carol has labeled herself a sentimental hoarder, she's not a hoarder in other areas. Their home is neat and tidy. They have an amazing gift of hospitality, meaning that you come into their home and immediately feel welcome. And Carol has worked really hard over the years to slowly declutter various rooms and areas of their home, but this was probably her biggest project yet. If you're new here, I'm Teresa Elling, and I'm a professional organizer, parenting coach, wife, and homeschool mom to 6 graduated kids. If you enjoy content like this, all things home and family, organizing, decorating, parenting, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We upload videos every week. If there's anything in this video that doesn't quite pertain to you, feel free to fast forward, but don't miss the end where we show you Carol's progress, what she accomplished, and my best tips for decluttering keepsake items. Carol, you are in a bit of a life change right now. You are about to move, correct? You just have a couple months to get things together. Okay. What are the issues that you're struggling with?
Well, there's several. First of all, I have, my husband and I have our childhood memories, our high school yearbooks, special toys, things like that we saved. And then I raised 4 daughters. Not I, my husband and I raised 4 daughters. He was very involved. And, I'm super sentimental, so I really, I save things, just super sentimental. And because I was just the busy mom syndrome, what I would do is just throw them in boxes. And so as you will see, I have many, many boxes of memorabilia, but just from raising my children. And then I homeschooled, so I have like schoolwork from my kids too, which is kind of in abundance. And my parents have both passed away in recent years, so I got their photo albums, scrapbooks, that sort of special memorabilia from them. So now I have I have 3 generations of memorabilia.
And you're a photographer.
Yeah, so I'm super camera happy. Thank you for reminding me that, because I take a ton of pictures, which works out very well for the digital age, but I was raising children. Well, I got my first camera in 5th grade, so I started taking my own pictures then.
So you probably have a backlog, scrapbooks, plus a backlog of photos, negatives, all that.
Huge,
okay,
huge. What caused me to want to reach out to Teresa too was that we recently evacuated for fires, and we literally packed up all that you're seeing of my memorabilia, and we were like, this is way too much, and we're moving. We don't want to move it around for the next few decades, and so we want to lighten the load on that. I just didn't even know where to start, hence I reached out to Teresa.
Okay, and we can do this. Your goal is to try to cut to 25%. And one way to do that, I use this as a hypothetical scenario. What if you were evacuated, but Carol actually just did this. So if you were to be evacuated again and you could only choose 4 boxes, 6 boxes, whatever your number is, what would you pick? What would be the most important? So we're going to try to go through and find the most important things to save, and then do things like take photos of items, and maybe look at giving some of your photos and belongings, already passing them on to your children. You're empty nesters now, so things can start to be given to kids and grandkids. So, no grandkids yet?
No.
Okay, not yet.
I'm
But
waiting. I have 2 married daughters. You know who you are watching.
okay, we are going to dive in and get to work.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. Sounds good. Would you try and do it by year or?
I honestly, right now, we're not trying to organize.
Okay, so
trying
we're
to
just gonna
do
throw it.
prayer.
We're just throw it.
Mhm.
Okay, got it.
Continue to think like, God forbid, but if your home had been burned
I know.
and this was all here, you're going to have different feelings about different things.
That's
Knowing
true.
that your school records were burned, I don't know that that would break your heart. You had to have
Right.
those in order legally
Right.
while
You're
you
right.
were homeschooling.
That's a good point.
But now
That's a
you
good
don't
point.
need those.
You're right.
There might be a couple special things of artwork or, like sample pages like you said.
Yeah.
But very soon, these are really going to be your children's memories. We think we want this for the memory, but we never go back and look at it.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
so, and then we pass away and they get tossed.
I know.
And meanwhile, we lugged this bin around forever, Yeah. And obviously, if we go through every one of these papers, you will lose your mind.
I would.
And we'll spend a day on with just these 2 boxes. You could go through really quick, and if there's pages that you personally want, I am willing to hang on to this for me and me alone. And then the rest, you're going to give to your kids.
Yeah.
And they're going to go through and decide what is
Oh,
important to
I
them.
see what you're saying. Okay, got it.
Because that's same with photos. When I had the exact same photo boxes that you have. I have photos of all of my children from birth to 5. And then after that, everything went into their school scrapbooks.
Yeah, that was really.
And so I did that, but I still have school records, but they probably take up about this much room because it's just my
It's
personal
just what
records.
you wanted to remember.
Right.
So
But
maybe
with
that
this-
is a good thing to kind of just look through and see what's meaningful to me. Then
Yes.
Just,
So with the photos, I went through, I took a few photos out that I love, and I gave that box to Caleb, that box to Rachel. That's a great idea, having 4 boxes, one for each of your children. Anything you're finding for them will go
Just
right into
throw
their
in.
box. I would ask your girls, if I
Yeah.
take pictures and send them to you, will you take the time to read through these course descriptions?
Yeah.
Because
That's
if they
a good
say no, you just went to a lot of work for nothing.
You're right. Okay.
This you already have.
Right.
You can hand them the file, they can go through it. But you're
True,
actually going to
true,
go to extra work
right.
to film
To
something
take-
that they may or may not care about.
Okay.
The rule of thumb is the farther away the event is, the more you can toss.
Okay.
Because your memories change over the years, and what is truly important to you begins to change.
Mm-hmm.
And what was extremely important, like, for example, right after your mom's passing, everything's important.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
But in
totally.
10 years, that will change a bit. You will be able to let go of more and know that you still have the memory of her. We're starting with some photo albums here.
Yeah.
And again, the question is, it doesn't do any good to store all this and have it put away and someone finds it after you're gone. Unless you are saying, this is either going to go on display, which I feel like if you have photo albums, they should be displayed on your
Yeah.
bookcase,
Yeah.
not hidden in the garage in a bin.
I agree.
And same with important mementos. So that's something to look at too. Are there items that can be incorporated in your home so that you will see them? Maybe a little basket. For example, I have little photo albums like this of each Thanksgiving and Christmas because we always alternated between the parents.
That's
Kevin's parents Thanksgiving, mine's for Christmas, and the opposite the next
Yeah.
year. So I always got, and they're all in this little bin, and we pull them out every Christmas for whoever's there.
That's
So we regularly see
great.
them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so how many of these things are you willing to make space for? Because they're so important and you will actually go through them.
This was for his 80th birthday. So these are
Okay.
letters
Yeah.
and sweet things. So
Is that something you want to keep?
would I display it?
Would you display it? Would you take the time to
I
sit
have
down
looked.
and
I
go
have
through
looked
it?
at it. I actually have looked at it since he passed, and it's meaningful to me. But could I digitalize it? I could. Like I could just take photos, maybe like while I'm like watching a show, and
Okay.
just kind of take pictures and
Okay.
say
So,
goodbye.
so we will start a
Part.
box of
Like a
things that you're
picture
going
box?
to
Okay.
take photos
Okay.
of.
Okay.
So right now we're working on cards, letters. I feel like if they're family cards of an event you remember and was significant, or there's a considerable amount of writing that is meaningful to you, then,
okay.
then go ahead.
And how would you organize that?
I personally would just have them in a folder. I mean, I have mine in a file folder like this.
Okay. Okay.
I do open them flat.
Oh,
I
okay.
toss the envelope and I open them flat so I can store more. And every time, because my file cabinet is this size and it will never be bigger than this size. So if I can't fit more in, then I pull them all out and I go through and I find a few to toss. So that's why deciding how much space do you want to give to this. And then once you decide that, so let's say it's one of those photo boxes. This is for my cards. As many cards as I can fit in this box.
Is
Great.
what I keep.
But when I go to add more and I'm completely full and the lid won't go on, I have to pull them all out, go through them, and find some I don't like as much as the ones I now really want to keep. And you always stay within your allotted space. Because we have to budget space the way we budget money.
Right. I get that.
Right?
I get budgeting money really well.
Because we can't be overdrawn and we can't have too much stuff. So
Okay, these are, I got a scan. It's like, that's me.
Okay.
And this goes back to the scan.
So
High
cute.
school. And goes with those other scan pictures. Because this came from that.
Great.
Okay, so then.
We will probably have a good size for you to scan and a good size for you to take photos of.
Yeah.
And that will be your homework.
And that would be big homework.
That was great.
I know I got rid of some. I did something. Right?
I think
The
you
ones
should
with
keep
the
them
girls.
completely intact.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is, it's not like a photo album where you stick the photos in
Right,
the
that's
sleeves.
true. That's true.
Just want to make space. These don't belong in storage. So
Oh,
at your new place, whatever your bookcases are, start with the most important things in your bookcase. Start right off with your photo albums, your favorite books. Slowly fill with all of your favorites until you're full.
Okay.
And then you're going to have to donate.
Yeah.
This is where I would look through and I'd probably pull it apart.
Okay.
I'd pick my favorite things that I absolutely want to keep and either scan or take photos or even have them in a file that I can look through. But you're going to lose a lot of bulk picking your favorite stuff.
To lose the bulk. This is parents, so this is
Okay.
I want to pick apart. I don't want this bulk. I don't want this bulk. I love the memories in it,
Okay.
but okay, that's what is this? It's like their 50th anniversary, so they got some letters. probably would like to look through and just see, but
Okay.
a lot of them I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Some I do. Some are
Okay.
families,
So
some I
that's-
know, but I can, it was meaningful to my mom and dad,
Yeah.
but not as much to me. This is
Right.
one of those things
And that's
that-
where it filters down with
Yeah.
the generation.
because like,
And
you know, I don't know who they are. I can see, okay, great, but I didn't really know them. They were
Right.
friends after I moved out of the house.
it's hard enough these days to have time
Or
for the people
relatives.
that are in your life right now, that are important to you. That's difficult. So then to try to spend time preserving memories of people.
Oh, something I think we did for my mom's birthday because my kids wrote notes. That would be obviously special. Any family, like, you know, this is my little Rebecca wrote to Grandma.
Right.
I'll scan or take pictures of that,
Yeah.
but I don't want to
Or
keep.
pull it out and put it in Rebecca's box.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
she can
yeah.
decide. So keep your kids' boxes there while
Yes.
you're sorting.
Okay. Yes. Okay, that's
So,
great. I know.
These are your father's. You had mentioned too that he writes in a lot of the details.
Yes, he did.
And so
Like, so
sometimes you
happy.
might, again, maybe over the years you've looked through these, but now it's time to take a couple pages out with his writing on it and put them in your memorabilia,
that. Okay,
and you get rid
okay.
of the rest.
Yeah.
One of the things I saved from my
I remember
grandmother
that.
is a little book where when she was first married, she wrote down everything she did and everything she spent. And so it's like, walk to the grocery store, eggs 5 cents, coffee 7 cents. It's the cutest thing, and I just love it. So things like that are important. But a lot of times you can take one whole page out of a journal
And
or
just
keep
save
one
that.
letter out of 10 and save that one.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Things like that I saved for myself.
Mm-hmm.
What did you just keep it in a file? Did you make a notebook, or how did you sort of treasure it?
We have one large bin, and I have a file in my file cabinet. So if my file gets too big, because that's what my easy drop. If that gets
Got
too
it.
big, I sort it through it again, and then sometimes I think I need to put things in my other box, but it's got to fit in that box.
Okay,
And
that's the budget concept.
that's the not sentimental type.
Oh yeah.
I literally have one
wish
bin,
there was
probably the
less
size of that one.
Heather's less sentimental too. We've talked about this too.
But it does have to do with your gifting and how God's made you, and we need all the parts, right?
We
need
do.
everybody.
Amen, sister.
Yes. The thing
Diploma.
with yearbooks is, do we go through them? That's the question. If these are here because I fairly regularly like to reminisce and go through them, great. But if they're just going to be stored forever and moved from house to house and then someday be tossed, why lug them around? Again, the more time goes by, usually the more you can get rid of. So it might be a process of just cutting down to maybe only high school, or for me, I had all my high school at one point, and then I cut to just keeping my senior year.
Did you out of your grade school ones, did you take your picture page out, your class?
I didn't, but that would be a great thing to do.
Okay.
You absolutely
Because
just
these are just gonna get chucked.
pull it apart. Take out what you want, add it to your pile, and it's 1 or 2 sheets of paper rather than
That's
an
so
entire
fun.
book.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a box of things from your daughters.
Yeah.
Footprints.
Footprints.
Oh, cute little footprints.
All of them.
And plaster.
And yeah, I think everybody got some footprints over time.
So we just finished doing a lot of cards, photos, and letters, which even when you save those, they sit flat. So you didn't even fill one box with your memorabilia from that, and you
Yeah.
filled an entire trash can, which is amazing, of stuff you're
Thank
throwing
you.
away.
That
But
encouragement.
the stuff is a lot bigger. So the thing is, you might just want the memory of something like this, or a giant book, or a vase, or some kind of tchotchke of some kind. These take up tons of space. So you can take a photo of these and still have the memory without actually having to keep the item. But one thing we've talked about is, would you want to display these or put them in your Christmas bin and hang them on your tree? So there are options, but they either need to be used and loved in your home, or we take photos for the memory. The other thing is, Carol has boxes for each of her children. So as we've been going through finding photos from grandparents, cards that they sent to their grandparents, those are getting put in the kids' boxes so that they can decide what they want to do with them. So that's another option for these. Put these in.
Sounds good.
We've been working for about 10 hours, and we've gone through the first room, quite a few of the bins. What does it say?
It says, letters, cards from Paul to Carol before marriage, folder 1 of 2.
Of 2. Oh
Okay,
my goodness.
here's the second one.
2 of 2.
And here's a very big box.
The letters you guys wrote each other while you were engaged.
And dating.
And
dating and
dating.
engaged.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
part of our engagement, we were in the same state.
Okay.
Part of it.
And we just finished decluttering 2 bins of cassettes, and you opened the box, and what did we find?
Because keep in mind, this is circa 1987, 1988. There was no internet, so we taped each other very long.
Oh, back and forth.
Yeah, and apparently we saved all of them too.
End of day 1, we filled 4 trash cans and emptied 8 bins.
Good morning.
You have had a night to sleep and rest, and we're on to day 2.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Yes. I am ready. I feel a little more mentally even ready than I was yesterday, because I think in the night I've just had time to, my brain's processed, and I feel like this is too much, and I don't want this level of stuff. I guess maybe making it analogous to what I did with my closet. Like, I got rid of everything that I didn't love. So my closet is pretty empty right now, but what I have in my closet, I do really like and do really wear. And I think that's what I want with my memorabilia. You were asking, like, even something like this. Look how cute this is.
My little girl journal.
A little diary from when you were small. And it's not completely filled out, which is very common with journals.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is read through, make sure you're happy that if for some reason something happens to you, you're fine with people reading all of this. And, you know, it's like anything else. You can go through and pick your favorites. If you have space, keep them all. If it's like, these are important to me and I'm going to go back and reread them. The other thing you can do is take a page or 2 out and keep them in a keepsake box, or even, especially if it was something of your mom's that she wrote. You know, I've seen people frame recipe cards. You could take a page out of a journal and frame it, or you know, put pages in your girl's stockings for Christmas. There's tons of ideas you can do.
That's good.
But it's usually more information than anyone could possibly reread.
Right.
So just keep that in mind as you're going through.
Stuff I wrote about baby Christina.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff I wrote about baby Rebecca.
Perfect. Already passing on those things.
I may
to your
have
girls.
that. Oh, here's another baby one. Okay, one of your classic examples of this. I did this journal to, like, here. So, you know.
Yeah.
If I
And
want.
then we're in a new season. We want a fresh start. We get a new journal.
Yeah.
And
then we do
fill
that.
that one up.
This
This
is
quarter, third.
This would be great because I could, you know, just.
And you might want to make sure your name is written inside of each of these, because often we think, this is my own journal. You don't think to put your name in it, but if someone else finds it, well, they know who it belonged to. And you might want to go through a box and pull out top 10, top 20 right away. And then another box.
Okay.
Get all those scanned.
That's cool. That's cool.
And
and put aside, and then decide how much.
That's a
with
good
each
idea.
layer, as you go deeper,
Mm-hmm.
you'll probably find that there might be some things that you don't want to spend the money to scan.
Right. I actually love that idea because I could, in theory, almost half those boxes because there's doubles.
Right, doubles, negatives.
Right. I'm not going to do
the paper
I don't
in
need
the envelopes.
Yeah.
Making your photos functional, not just storage that's hidden away and no one sees them. So if you're going to bother to keep them and you're not going to actually display them, but you want to be able to look at them, what's the best way to do that? That's where most people put them in photo albums, but that takes a lot of time, and most people put too many photos in an album. They fill up fast, and the more years you live, you want to get to the heart of things, you know?
Yeah.
You don't have, I mean, look at how many hours we've spent, and we haven't even touched photos.
I know.
So, you know, what is going to be the easiest way? I've decided that I'm either going to do online things like Shutterfly. That's what I was thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
I've done a couple of those,
Mm-hmm.
and I've only done 2 so far, and I thought, I think this is the way to go. I'm going to just compile my top photos at the end of the year and send them in, have a book made, and I'm done. Because at least it's done.
Great.
And my kids have something to look at. Otherwise, it's just this pile of guilt, and I wish I could, but I don't have the time to go through. I still have stuff like you that I have to do catch up. But starting this year, I'm going to do my first book for 2020. Oh, what a year to start.
I know.
Yeah.
Pandemic, the year of the pandemic.
Right. That's my goal, is then to maintain each year after that and slowly go back. For now, photos that I have, if they're just in a box and sorted by date, when my kids come for Christmas, we can just sit down and go through the box. But if there's 3,000 pictures, no,
don't want to.
I mean, you could start going through, but you
You'd be
don't get
bored
very
by,
far.
like-
Here we are sorting through 30 years of raising a family and going through all of Carol's girls' keepsake items. A really great way to do that is to put your kids' initials on the sticky notes like we have here, and we're just making piles as we're going through whatever belongs to that individual child. We are making a pile for them, and that will go into their box for those kids to sort. I get tired just looking at this footage. We spent 2 days going through all of these bins, and I will be honest with you, Carol's results after just a couple of months of work far exceeded my expectations. She really went after this. She started with 45 bins, and this did not even include some of the smaller photo boxes. Her goal was to cut 75%, and she did that. She met her goal and now has 12 bins. The amazing thing is that's after phase 2, and she's still kind of launching into phase 3, which is continuing to go through those 12 boxes. Some of those were, for example, a bin of her mother's journals. You can't sit down in one afternoon and go through that bin. It's going to take a little more time. So meanwhile, Carol has all of this decluttered down to 12 bins. Several of them that she knows are her special bins that will stay exactly the way they are. She will now try to go through them once a year and try to keep up so she doesn't have to catch up. But the rest, she will continue as time allows to slowly go through and continue to declutter. Most of us don't have a wake-up call like Carol and Paul did, where they were evacuated for fire, but we can apply a lot of the questions surrounding those circumstances to help us make better decisions in decluttering. Here are my top tips. Number 1, gather all of the memorabilia you have. You're going to have to hunt high and low, check the garage and the attic, wherever you happen to stash things, pull them all out and get them in one place. That way you know what you really need to deal with. Number 2, start with now. Start with your current year. I have several videos that talk to you about how to organize paperwork, how to organize kids' schoolwork and artwork, and I will link those videos below in the description box. So I'm not going to go into details there, but you want to set up systems so that you can maintain your paperwork and keepsake items from year to year. Start now, get this year in order, have a system in place, and then you can slowly go back and pick up the year before that. And actually, you don't even have to go in that order. You could go back to the oldest things you have, maybe a bin of something that belonged to your great-great-grandparents. Start there, begin to go through. Number 3, ask yourself the questions that you saw Carol wrestling with throughout this video. If my home burned in a fire, how much of this would I know was gone? I would be missing it. I would be looking for it. Or is it bins of stuff that you don't even really know what's in there? The other thing is, which things are so important that you would be desperate to try to replace? For example, old family photos that you might go to a sibling or a parent to get copies because they're so important to you. Number 4, pass on as much as you can to other family members, especially children and grandchildren. Now, this can actually go for furniture, dishes, other belongings that you're not using, but you want to keep in the family. Begin to release these to other family members. Have boxes for your kids as you're decluttering, and pass things that are really their memories to them directly. Number 5, display mementos, do not store them. When we store things, it shows that they really aren't that important. They're put away in a dusty garage or attic, forgotten about, often for generations, sometimes until we pass away and others go to look through our stuff. Do you really want to lug around bins of memorabilia that aren't that special to you? Go through and take the things that are really precious to you and display them in your home. There are so many ways that you can do that. We talked about a few in this video, and there are so many other things that you can think of, even in just displaying journals, books, photos, not only on your walls, but on a mantle, in a bookcase, on a dresser. You can make shadow boxes. I do have a video on doing a memory shadow box, and I did it for Christmas, but you could do it any time of year. I'll link that video below as well. But these are just some ways that you actually can preserve your memories and see these things. What good is it to have a beautiful pewter bowl of your grandmother's if you don't see it for 20 years, except when you happen upon it in a messy garage? And if you can't use these things right now, this is where you want to pass them on to other family members. Everything's going to burn, so the things on this earth, we might as well enjoy them while we're here because we're not taking them with us. And number 6, Carol said this was absolutely her top tip, the one thing that really helped her to let go of items, and that was to take photos or scan things that were important to her. She scanned generations of old photos and letters, and she took pictures of things like her children's footprints, and then she handed those things on to her kids. She didn't even get rid of them. But there are things that we can take photos of and then be released to throw them away, knowing that we still have that memory. I hope you'll give some of these tips a try. I hope you will gather up all of your memorabilia so you know where everything is and get ready to tackle it. You can do this one step at a time. Remember to do your best to keep up so you don't have to catch up. Thanks for joining me today on The Peaceful Home. Have a great week.